Despite being known as the weakest link when it comes to online services and gaming, Nintendo is actually one of the pioneers in this area. Of course, many of you know about the company's foray into online with the Nintendo 64 disk drive. While limited in many ways, Nintendo did have a lot of great ideas for their service with the device that would live on in other platforms years later. But there was one other device that Nintendo used to bring online capabilities to Nintendo gamers in Japan. And it's a platform that you probably wouldn't expect. The Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Color. Danny from the Famicast here. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Today, we're going to take a look at the Mobile Adapter GB, the online portal for a handful of games for the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance. The Mobile Adapter GB was unveiled to the world, well, or Japan at least, at Space World 2000 in late August 2000. It was originally scheduled to release day and date with Pokémon Crystal in Japan on December 14, 2000. But in October 2000, Nintendo announced that they would have to delay the release of the adapter by a little over a month, pushing it back to January 27, 2001. Now, no reason for the delay was given at the time. Now, the idea behind this device is pretty simple. By connecting your Game Boy Color, or of course later Game Boy Advance, to the adapter and your mobile phone, gamers were able to take games online via what was called the Mobile System GB service. While the functionality isn't anywhere near as robust as we might find in online gaming today, there were still several things that could be done. Compatible games and software allowed users to download a variety of content for games, play others online, check websites, and more. Now, there were some safety measures put into place so that kids wouldn't have free reign of the internet, something that we've seen Nintendo put into place with a lot of their online practices over the years. So with this service, users were only able to access websites and information directly from Nintendo. Now, these were carefully crafted by Nintendo themselves to prevent kids from seeing or accessing content that they shouldn't. Now, while it might seem a bit strange as to why this device might be an attractive product for gamers or mobile users, I think it's important to remember that even though Japan was definitely ahead of the curve with mobile technology, screen size was still relatively small. So one of the appeals, at least from a Nintendo marketing standpoint anyway, was the ability to use email and check these websites on a larger screen on the go. Of course, other things like having access to additional content for games, playing with or against friends, online rankings, and more, these are just benefits for gamers from there. There were 3 different base models for the Mobile Adapter GB, each color-coded: blue, red, and yellow. Now, each of these colors were compatible with different phones or carriers throughout Japan. I'm not going to get into the minutiae of the different technological aspects here, but just know that, simply put, Nintendo wanted to make sure that this device could be used by anyone who had a mobile phone or some kind of mobile phone service. Now, an interesting note here, the blue adapter, the digital mobile phone PDC version, was the most widely available. Now, why is that? Well, PDC phones made up about 90% of the mobile market at the time, so for collector's purposes, you're going to be hard-pressed to track down a red or yellow version of this device. Now, the service itself required a system registration fee of 400 yen, maybe about $4, and then could be used for 10 yen per minute throughout Japan. Of course, users would also be responsible for other usage fees to their mobile carriers on top of these. Now, pricing on the actual content varied. So, for example, in Pokémon Crystal, access to the Battle Tower cost a one-time fee of 10 yen, whereas a monthly Pokémon newsletter via the service can be had for a flat fee of 100 yen per month. Now, each adapter came bundled with a card that had a login ID, email address, and temporary password. So after purchasing the device and entering in the login information for the supported software, gamers could jump right in for free for a 15-day period. Well, plus fees from their mobile carriers. Now, during this 15-day period, users can fill out the registration card and send it in, after which they would be able to have access to the service onward. Now, similar to the service safety measure put into place for kids with internet access that I talked about a little bit before, Nintendo also put in restrictions to keep users from spending too much money on additional content. Now, if service charges for the content exceeded 10,000 yen, users would not be able to receive any more content for the remainder of the billing month, so this would keep these bills from getting out of control. Now, when released, the device sold for 5,800 yen plus the various fees associated with using the service. Now, it could be picked up at various shops around Japan, like Toys R Us, Tsutaya, and even some mobile carrier shops. Initial promotion for the device and service circled around then Japanese Seattle Mariners pitcher Kazuhiro Sasaki, and ran with the catchphrase that not only adults, but, quote, kids can also be challenged by this new world of gaming. After only a few months on the market, the adapter saw a 2,000 yen price drop, bringing it down to 3,990 yen. There are actually quite a few titles that were released for both the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance that supported the mobile adapter GB. Now, most of the games that are supported, they have this blue stripe across the bottom that reads Mobile System GB Support. Now here, I'm going to talk about 5 of the games, and well, one's a piece of software, and what they all had to offer here. Pokémon Crystal. Nintendo was hoping that the prowess of an entry into the Pokemon series would help drive the desire for the mobile adapter GB. While that obviously didn't work out in the long run, there were a lot of interesting ideas put into place here. Now, to promote the device, copies of Crystal even contained a small little poster advertising the adapter and its upcoming late January 2001 release. Now, in the game itself, once players get through the introductory part of the game, they could access the mobile adapter features from the main menu or from a few different locations in the game. Like, for example, at Pokemon Centers and or the PCC, the Pokemon Community Center in Goldenrod City, or Kogane City in the Japanese version. Now, there are a lot of different things that Pokemon Crystal owners could do with the mobile adapter. You could trade, battle, access an exclusive battle tower, get a special mystery egg, subscribe to the mobile-only Pokemon newsletter, and even get special content that could be used in Pokemon Stadium on the Nintendo 64. Now, costs for these features started at 10 yen each, while the newsletter cost 100 yen. Now, the battle tower could be found in Olivine City, or Asagi City in the Japanese version, so as long as the mobile adapter is plugged into your Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance, you can access the tower. Here, trainers can bring 3 of their best Pokemon and try their luck up to 5 times per day against some tough opponents. Now, each area is divided into levels, starting out at level 10. Now, if you defeat your opponents, your username and a grade would be added to the room, kind of like bragging rights or something that other people could see. For the connection to Pokemon Stadium and the Nintendo 64, users who own both games and the mobile adapter could make use of the data that could be transferred over to the N64 game and viewed in 3D on the big screen. Now, costs for this service were sometimes free, but could sometimes cost 20 yen each. Now, on the topic of no additional cost, the mystery egg was also free of charge and contained a rare Pokemon that would be hatched over time. Now, interestingly enough, battles and trading via the mobile adapter could even take place after the service ended. This was done via the Friends in Mobile section of the game, and basically using a peer-to-peer connection via the adapter and mobile phones, essentially calling each other, gamers could actually do this. The mobile system GB was not needed for that part of the service. Now, given that Crystal has sold over 6 million units worldwide, it's not particularly difficult to come by, even here in Japan. Now, of course, if you want to pick up a copy that contains all the manuals and flyers and stuff like that, it's going to be a little bit difficult, but I will say it's definitely not going to break the bank. Now, if you guys want like more of an in-depth look on some of these features, actually there's a lot of good websites out there with a lot of information in English about it, like Pokemon Community Daily, a YouTuber by the name of Hacky, if you want to find out some more in-depth stuff about Pokemon Crystal and how this stuff worked. Now, the next piece of software on our little list here is the Mobile Trainer. Now, this Game Boy Color cartridge was included with every mobile adapter GB, and this served as a portal for using the mobile GB specific email, viewing Nintendo's crafted websites, checking out new content, as well as kind of a way to manage your account in some ways. Now, I have 2 adapters and 2 copies of this software, but they both appear to never have been used, so unfortunately, there's really no way to look at some of the saved websites or breach the previous owner's privacy by checking out their old emails. Even with that said, between cross-checking the instruction manual, various websites, and the game itself, I was able to get a pretty complete picture of what was on offer here. There are 3 sections to explore once you get into the Start button. You have Mail, Homepage, and Help. So in Mail, you're able to check previously received email, write emails, and save contacts. You could only send 1 email at a time, but you could receive up to 12 at a time. Now, saving email was a possibility too here, but again, you were limited to just 12. So heavy users would have to make sure that they had enough space to receive further emails. Now, in the address book, you're only able to save up to 6 friends or 6 contacts there. While it is possible to receive mail that didn't originate on the mobile system GB servers, not all mail could be read. No specifics really given here or in the manual, but I mean, if there's there are a couple of other games that actually have some kind of in-game email type of a system, but it's possible that they would not work being able to come in here like this. It's just kind of like a case-by-case type of a deal. Choosing the homepage option allowed users to view a variety of web pages crafted specifically for the mobile trainer software. Now, Nintendo themselves created a specific mobile website with various information that could be viewed online. Now, in the software, you were able to bookmark pages that you could jump to at a later time. Now, not only that, but in an effort to reduce costs, users were able to cut their connection and view websites after the page has been downloaded to the system. Now, with that being said, even now, if a user were to have downloaded a web page, it could still be checked today. Unfortunately, like I mentioned above, my 2 copies appear to have never been taken online, so nothing for me. Now, when you are connected online, the software has a counter at the bottom of the screen to let you keep track of how long you've been using the service. Now, every 10 minutes, the software will display a message letting you know how much time has passed in an effort, again, to keep you from racking up a huge bill. Now, if you wanted to continue, you could. However, the message would still appear every 10 minutes. Now, right now, there's really not a whole lot that you can do with this cart or the service, but for me, it's still interesting to dive in to see all the different animations, menus, and a variety of information. Now, picking up a PDC version of the device is the easiest way to go for collectors. That's the blue one. Now, I was lucky enough to have one of my 2 that came with everything. The mobile trainer card, proper box inserts, plastic bags, manuals, the registration form, and a few other little slips of pieces of paper and stuff. Now, these are still out in the wild, and right now at least, they can be had for a pretty reasonable price. Mobile Golf. Now developed by Camelot and published by Nintendo, this was a simulation-style golf game released exclusively in Japan. It's pretty similar to Mario Golf on the Game Boy Color and even features a few of the characters from that title. Now, the game even has a feature that allowed users to save entire replays of the holes they played here too, which is pretty cool. So you can, even if you're not good at playing these type of games, you could at least see that if the person who owned it previously or something had done that. Now, when it comes to online capabilities, Mobile Golf had several things for gamers and really was one of the marquee titles for the mobile system GB service. Now, to kick things off, new courses could be downloaded for 50 yen each, and extra mini-games could be had for 10 yen, and additional characters, including Mario, Peach, Yoshi, and Blackie, aka Foreman Spike from Wrecking Crew, could be purchased for 10 yen apiece. Players could also compete in various competitions set up by Nintendo. Now, from the game's launch, these competitions ran from the day that the game released, on May 11th, 2001, all the way until the end of August 2001. Now, to participate in one round, players would have to shell out 50 yen per round of what was dubbed the Nintendo Open. Now, another thing that was open at all times for the Open competition and various competitions, these are things that users could participate in for 10 yen a pop. Now, when connected online, players could also check comments of the participants as well as check out like how many points they netted in the competitions. They can check all this stuff for free. A counseling service was also available for 10 yen per session. Now, in these, the players would be given advice in a lecture type of a form on how to better approach the various holes in the game. Now, setting up requests, seeing the most popular requests for counseling, and also checking the competition rankings per hole were also available at no additional charge. Now, all of the online aspects of the game could be checked under a section labeled Network. Now, once you enter, you're in like a clubhouse that has desks for all of the above-mentioned online features. Pretty nice little touch. Now, for collectors, this game is pretty common and as of right now can be had for relatively cheap. Now, the game commonly can be found as part of a set with the mobile adapter GB. I bought my copy years ago with the adapter and it came with the game, manual, leaflets, all sorts of stuff, so it's a pretty complete set. If you're looking for one, they are out there. Play novel Silent Hill. An unlikely choice for a portable system, Konami brought the Silent Hill series to the Game Boy Advance right at the launch in March 2001 with this novelized version of the original game, now officially dubbed Play Novel Silent Hill. The game puts users through the story via text, still images, animated images, and the occasional compressed FMV shoved into a Game Boy cart. Now, the FMV was reworked from the PlayStation original down to 256 simultaneous colors to work on Nintendo's handheld. Pretty impressive for the time. Now, the game featured 2 different scenarios, one for Harry Mason and the other for Sybil Bennett, with the latter being playable after clearing Harry's mission. Now, there are even digital cards that can be collected throughout the playthrough, so that was kind of a reason to try to keep gamers coming back. As for the mobile content, Konami offered new scenarios that were exclusive to the mobile system GB service based around the in-game character Andy. Now, these are broken down into seasons, spring, summer, fall, and winter. The content was released in May 2001 and were an additional 20 in each, on top of the charges and all that stuff that you'd be paying. So, interestingly, the data could not be saved to the card itself. Now, similar to how the NES games from Animal Crossing worked on the GBA, the scenarios would remain on the system as long as it was turned on. Once you turn it off, it would basically go away. The scenarios are basically saved in the temporary GBA RAM. That's how that worked. Playing through these extra scenarios were the only way to collect a full set of these in-game digital trading cards. Now, 4 could be found here, I'm assuming 1 in each of the seasons. Now, since these scenarios were only available in a temporary fashion, there's no way to access them, as far as I know, from the cart. Now, we only have memories from the gamers from yesteryear and the official guide for the game to fill us in on the details. As for the collector's aspect of this game, it's kind of hard to come by and it's pretty expensive. I was lucky enough to find a box copy that came with the instruction manual and a pretty clean cart, but yeah, if you're trying to look from this and you're not in Japan, you're probably going to be shelling out a pretty penny. Mario Kart Advance. Sometimes regarded as one of the weakest links in the Mario Kart series, Mario Kart Advance, known as Super Circuit in the West, raced onto the Game Boy Advance in the summer of 2001. Now, like the games in the series before and after, Super Circuit offered a Grand Prix, time trials, quick race versus, and battle modes, the latter of which offered 4-player multiplayer with friends. While gamers in the West would still enjoy the game, the mobile features locked away to the Japanese version slightly set it apart. Now, from the main menu of the Japanese version, an option called Mobile would be the way to access the mobile features of the game. Now, in the Western version, this third option was replaced with Ghost Data, as you can see here. Now, after entering in your login credentials, you could access rankings, Ghost Data, and a mobile GP Grand Prix mode. Now, rankings were pretty robust here. Now, players could see the top 10 racers on a given track, the 10 players closest to their times, and they could even see how their Ghost Data ranks all over Japan. Now, the Ghost Data section allows players to download the Ghost Data of others. Players could download up to 2 ghosts to have to keep on their cards. Now, the mobile GP mode allows users to race specific courses where their times would be stacked up against other racers across the country. Now, while there was no head-to-head competition, there was clearly a lot that could be done using the mobile adapter here. Now, for collectors, Mario Kart Advance is a fairly common game. The design differs slightly here from the Western releases too, featuring the same Mario asset in the cart on a white background instead of a blue background, and then, of course, you can see here too, the mobile adapter GB strip is across the bottom. Now, the game came with a postcard that could be used to order a mobile adapter here as well, which mine actually just came with, so I thought that was a pretty cool little piece of history. Now, there were a total of 22 games or pieces of software that supported the adapter: Napoleon, Zero Tours, Hello Kitty, Happy House, and more were also available for the service. Now, for a full list, be sure to check out thefamicast.com, and you can find a link to that URL in the description box below. Now, in May 2002, Nintendo announced the closure of the mobile system GB service, which was set for December 14th, 2002. Users who use the Dion Mobile GB course, a different variation of the service, would have a few extra days to use the service, as it ended on December 18th. Now, all other services, such as downloadable content, all of that stuff would come to a close. Now, the Nintendo Mobile Magazine, as well as email addresses created with the service, would also come to a close. So Nintendo thanked users for using the service and asked gamers to prepare for the closures of connected emails and accounts. The Mobile Adapter GB again shows another interesting attempt of Nintendo getting into online, which was unfortunately met again with failure. Even with some of the biggest franchises push for the service in Pokémon and Mario Kart, Nintendo's best wasn't enough to draw gamers in. Now, the reasons behind the general disinterest in the product can only be speculated on. Was it a problem with the messaging behind the product? Was it just too difficult to set up? Was it just not worth the extra cash? I mean, taking a look at the early marketing, it was called a new world for kids in the gaming space. I think it was a bit too early and complicated for that, especially for the kids, especially considering that adults didn't even buy in. Regardless, the Mobile Adapter GB and Mobile System GB service remain a fascinating look into Nintendo's online past. This failure, coupled with the failure of the 64DD, could very well be some of the reasons as to why Nintendo has been so hesitant to dive deeper into online gaming, not only in the early 2000s, but also now. As always, Thank you guys for checking out this video. Thank you for making it this far. I know it's a long one. So again, thanks for checking out this video. If you like what you see, please feel free to give us a like. If you're new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe. We got tons of podcasts, video reviews, special videos, and a whole lot more. Again, this is Danny from the Famicast. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you later.